You might not be able to put a price tag on love, but Kyrgios' $1 million challenge with Tomic tells me you can definitely put a price tag on hate. You could even say there are a million reasons they hate each other. While their low-key friendship sailed under the radar, it's their spat that's causing high-profile drama. Wow, I guess hate really does sell. Recently, Kyrgios took their competition to the next level by dismissing Tomic's eligibility for a match with him. The two played just one match against each other. That was back in 2019. Tomic won the low-stakes exhibition match, but not really. For Kyrgios, nothing but winning matters. Whether it's in tennis, boxing, or quips on social media, the two tennis players have been lobbing shots at each other for a while now. But they didn't start this way. They had a civil relationship in the past, before it soured into a love-hate relationship. Now it's time for a full-blown war between the former friends. It seemed like a dream pairing, the two Australians fighting it out for their home country, together as teammates. While their Davis Cup bid didn't quite play out as expected, something unexpected happened. The two started a public spat that lasts to this day, with both Aussies taking jabs at each other. Honestly, just as good old teammates could be expected to. This included teasing each other about his caliber, riling up a debate about each other's style, or Tomic calling Kyrgios his protege. Well, technically, he called himself Nick's idol. That last one might have been the one to tip it over the edge, and the 7-time ATP singles champ isn't one to take it easy. He was ready to take some action over it. And I mean literally action. He turns down Bernard's $1 million challenge, sprinkling in some facts along the way, including a dubious one I couldn't verify, of Tomic being the most hated athlete in Australia. The lack of data on that one didn't take away from its sting. The fight was no holds barred. Nick was ready to take Tomic to court or the boxing ring. The writing was on the wall since their first match against each other. Remember the ace underarm serve Tomic pulled at match point before winning his first and last exhibition match against Wild Thing? That might have been just professional rivalry. The invitation to a boxing match isn't, yeah, it's definitely personal for Nick. Even professionally, there's a big gap between the two players at the moment. But on a personal front, Nick feels slighted. His family, his resources, and Nick himself have all stood up for Bernard, including paying for his return flight from Shanghai. Now that he's being challenged blatantly, he spelled out the bad beef between him and his compatriot, BT's thankless attitude. Nick's confident that Tomic's not even in the same league as him, finding time from his busy schedule. I know that because he put that in his response to Tomic. Kyrgios told Tomic he would have had to get his act together before challenging the ATP Tour guy. And it's true too. Ouch. The challenger's down to 468 in the world, as opposed to Kyrgios at number 21. The Canberran's advice? Get your ranking up, then we might talk. This was after Tomic's offer of each putting $1 million on the table for a winner gets all, both trophy and applause. I'm not sure that would bury the hatchet though. At the end of the day though, they're both each other's competition. They can either drive each other to give their best or bring out their worst. Either way, that's the explanation BT's come up with. Tomic believes Nick hates him because he loves him. The 2018 Chengdu Open winner has come up with what he believes to be a logical explanation. Actually, the only logical explanation for Nick's resentment. It's simple. He grew up under him and, like a younger, brash brother, went on to resent his senior. Wow, kudos to BT's self-awareness. That's not as out there as it sounds. Prepare to meet the prime BT. He's not the one who took a round 1 loss recently, but the one who was a record setter at 16, and Wimbledon's youngest slam quarter finalist since Boris Becker. BT really went down memory lane there, and that's where he believes Nick's professional jealousy stems from. Whether or not that's true about his professional achievements getting under Nick's skin, the statement really seemed to hit a nerve with the grass court phenom. Don't worry, he'll be alright. Since he has more money and a higher ranking overall, the Canberra native's rolling in it, at least more so than his rival, and that's all that counts for the grass court specialist. Kyrgios brought out the stats for his prize money, higher than Tomic, and capable of much more charity work. The 11-time ATP Championship finalist cited BT's lack of work for Australian bushfire survivors as the real low blow, unworthy of any champion, but in particular, one who's featured in an OnlyFans video too, which also doesn't appeal to Nick. Perhaps it was these reasons that led him to doubling down on Tomic's wildcard snub from the Australia Open, when Tennis Australia didn't greenlight Tomic's express entry to the men's singles draw. Nick cheered for Tennis Australia. Generally too, the 29-year-old's been down and out for a while. It makes for easy shots, almost too easy, as Nick himself admitted, by offering to help out his longtime rival with tennis lessons. And Nick believes in striking while the iron's hot. Sure, his rival's talking a big game, but the rankings just don't add up. This has really fueled the offense game from Kyrgios' camp. The 27-year-old's famously known as a one-man squad. He has a skeleton crew, and he fights his own battles. So when he felt insulted by comparisons with Bernard Tomic, it wasn't long before he came up swinging. Surely it's an outrage. How can two men in their prime be compared? Unless their best is behind them. Both of them. This is something both will have to put their head together for once and think over as they work on building their legacies. Recently, they did go some way towards settling the score, with BT really missing his rival who was hospitalized for surgery. Despite the difference in their rankings, or money, or any of that stuff, BT came out for his former rival who recently underwent knee surgery. The list of well-wishers had a wildcard entry from Tomic, who was eager to see his colleague healthy and back in action. Maybe tragedy does bring people closer. Or perhaps Nick doesn't hate Tomic. He's just a different player and a different person than him. Perhaps it was just right place, wrong time for both of them. The two are contemporaries in every sense of the word. Both grew up together as Australian junior prodigies, played together, and later opposite each other. That's quite a history. It's also a lot to go through with one person alone. Naturally, the public spotlight doesn't help cool things down. Nick not dishing on Tomic and vice versa has become expected. When you're in the public gaze, it's easy to let go and show off, or vent a lot. It makes you feel heard and appreciated. Even better, it's the perfect place for gossip. Sometimes it's even healthy, but I think it's more of a formality. Each sport has its entertainment wing. This is what waves the crowd into the stadium. Just imagine a bout between Tomic and Nick. It's gonna sell a lot more tickets than your average tennis match. This has texture, breadth, storyline, drama, each of which makes the climax a multi-million-dollar question. Who's the better player? I say both are more than capable of keeping grudges, though. That's really worth it in sports. The resentment pays for itself in the match itself. See you in the next one.